Your calling isn't dependent on who funds you or who flatters you. It's in the hands of the one who called you. The Bible warns about both giving and receiving gifts because it says that gifts can blind the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. In politics, contributions and favors almost always come with strings attached. And too many people in politics mistake those strings for rope ladders to higher office. But before too long, they soon realize that those rope ladders are just nooses. Just listen to Proverbs 19. The Bible says, "Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that giveth gifts." Look, it's just human nature, really. People either want to be the prince or they want to stay close and have special access to the prince. In Exodus 23, it says, "And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise and perverteth the words of the righteous." And you can probably name some people in Congress who are richer now than they were when they first got elected, and they don't sound anything like they did when they first asked for your vote. And you kind of wonder to yourself sarcastically, well, what's changed? Not every gift somebody gives you is a generous act of kindness. Some gifts are nothing less than baited hooks. Many people fall into one of two categories. They're either chasing someone's favor or hoping others chase theirs. But once you start playing that game, you stop being led by principle and your motives get corrupted. The difference is this. You usually know where your principles will take you, but corrupted intentions have a way of surprising you with your final destination. And that moment that you trade your principles for something like status, that's the moment that you're going to realize that you're already lost. When I served in public office, I experienced these crossroads firsthand. Two people who probably never even met each other, I later learned had expected me to return favors after contributing to my campaigns. I was genuinely grateful for everyone who had helped me pay for staff or to buy yard signs. But the thing is I believe those donations were given because people shared my principles, not because they wanted favors or some type of special treatment. And showing gratitude for those donations, at least in my mind, never required me to sell out my principles to the highest bidder. One of those donors, though, I genuinely liked him. He was smart, he was insightful, he was someone that I got to work with, I had a relationship with him. But when my convictions about what was right clashed with his agenda, that whole relationship ended overnight. He wouldn't even entertain my request to get together to see if we had some common ground on anything else. That's when this truth became more real to me than ever. Some people are not interested or concerned about your convictions to do what's right. They just want your blind, unyielding loyalty for themselves. But the moment you become someone who offers that type of power to someone else, that's the moment that you invite someone else into the driver's seat and you lose control. Back in 2018, I was running for state auditor, and a group interested in certain tax credits invited me to dinner at a really, really nice fancy restaurant. I'm not talking the Olive Garden. It was like dark, large tables, nice Italian restaurant. The tax credit that they were interested in had previously raised a lot of bright red flags from other auditors conducting separate audits. And it was like a scene out of the Godfather movies. One of them slid a campaign check across the table and said, "If you win, we'd love to work with you on those audits." Well, you can speculate on what he had in mind by that. But right after he said that, I said, "I appreciate your support, but my only commitment is to be the best state auditor this state has ever had." And then I reached down, I picked up the check, and I used it to pay my campaign staff. Well, they never called me again, but I slept great that night. Your loyalty should never be for sale, not even at a fancy Italian restaurant. But not every gift, and this is important to understand, not every gift is manipulative though. And this is why you need to have discernment about what's really going on. Sometimes somebody might give you a gift, it's just a peace offering. Maybe it's some humility, or maybe it's just sincere generosity. We see this in the Bible. In Genesis 32, Jacob gives Esau, his brother, gifts to make a peace offering after years of conflict. And in 1 Samuel, Abigail brought gifts of humility to King David to stop him from killing her husband after he smarted off to the king's men. Sometimes a gift is peace. Other times, though, it can be poison. You just need to have discernment to find out what it is. Are they trying to buy access, or are they trying to build understanding? Without discernment, you will start believing you're more important than you actually are, and that is when people start using you. If you think every gift means you're special, you've probably already been bought. But now let's flip the coin. What about when we're the ones giving gifts? Are we trying to build a relationship or are we trying to buy one? Are we trying to open doors or are we trying to control outcomes? God judges the gifts by the motive, not by the money. When Jacob sent gifts, it was a peace offering. And when Abigail sent gifts, it was courage and humility. Their gifts, though, cost them something because sincerity, and this is important, sincerity usually does cost you something. People normally aren't going to make great sacrifices just to try to manipulate you, but you have to have discernment. Without it, you'll either get manipulated or you'll just wind up in a place where you're manipulating people. Discernment might cost you some short-term losses. Integrity might cost you some relationships or resources, but corrupted intentions will cost you everything. You cannot outgive God when it comes to your purpose. Your calling isn't dependent on who funds you or who flatters you. It's in the hands of the one who called you. After 8 years in elected office, I understood more than ever why the Bible warns us about gifts. It's because favors and flattery usually come with strings attached, and those strings can quickly become snares. Gifts take many forms. Listen to this. Sometimes we don't speak the truth because we want to stay in good graces with our friends or colleagues. So we gift them our silence and we offer consent to what we know is wrong. And we sometimes justify it by saying, well, it's better to have some influence than none at all. But when we think that way, now we're leaving God completely out of the equation. God, not people, is the source of our calling. Our direction should always come from him. And he's more than capable of giving us the influence that he wants us to have. So give with sincerity, receive with discernment, and never let gifts, money, or favor replace your foundation and your convictions for the truth and what's right. Proverbs 29 says, many seek the ruler's favor, but every man's judgment cometh from the Lord. So don't get too frustrated when people's eyes are blinded or their words don't align with what's right. Truth still matters, and it always will. And in God's time, he will sort everything out.